first glance, these guys don't really look that big, but in reality, they are portrayed as gargantuan beasts. Yep, even rivaling the size of Ramarak.
Before the video starts, please excuse my god-awful mic. I don't have a professional one. I'm just using my headphone mic. So please enjoy the video, and yeah. 2017's Kong Skull Island introduced us to one of the underdogs of the Monsterverse. This monster was one of the few monsters that gave Kong a run for his money. Her name is Ramarak, or the Skull Devil, a large adult skull crawler who, rivaling Kong, ruled a lot of Skull Island, and her species were mostly responsible for the extinction of the Kong species. 2023's Netflix Skull Island introduced us to another underdog and lesser-known monster to the Monsterverse. These guys are known as killer chameleons. Like Ramarak, these guys also gave Kong, who was actually larger in the show than in the movie, a beatdown. For some reason, nobody is debating about this fight, so I've put it upon myself to put these two against each other. Today we will answer who will win this fight. The Queen of Skullcrawlers versus the Giant Murderous Chameleon. Let's get this started. Here we will be discussing multiple factors to this fight, and we must add some rules here. Number 1. Ramarak and the Killer Chameleon will not be able to call for any allies. Number 2. We'll say that this fight takes place in the area where Ramarak fought Kong. Number 3, of course, there will be no plot armor whatsoever. So let's get into it. Ramarak. Ramarak weighs about 100 tons, which sounds like a lot, but isn't super big for the Monsterverse. But she is extremely strong, using her prehensile tail to literally throw Kong like he's one of her toys, who was 158 tons in the movie. For reference, that's almost the equivalent of a 180-pound woman easily picking up and chucking a 300-pound man across the room. The tail has a thagomizer at the end of it, similar to a stegosaurus, except instead of 4 spikes on the tail, there are 8. Now let's get to her legs. Now from what we see, these legs are pretty strong, but they're not really used to do stuff other than slashing with Kong and maneuvering around. And since her body is so skinny, she can easily do that, and easily move through Kong to get an advantage. Her mouth is surprisingly probably one of her weakest features, barely going through Kong's neck and arm, which we see a lot of strong mouths today in some extinction. For example, the T-Rex used its jaw as its main weapon, but I guess it makes sense considering the rest of her features. Killer Chameleon. So there's not a ton of info on this guy, and especially nothing on his weight, but he's very similar in size to Ramarak. So we'll say they're about 75 tons, because they were thrown around like nothing and couldn't really fight back, and they were being held onto. But they were pretty strong. They also knocked around Kong, but the main issue is that they were better in packs. Together, they probably could have easily taken out Kong. As seen here, when one jumped on Kong's back, he was pushed over, but the chameleon was easily dispatched. The tail was decently strong, but only against much smaller things like a human. But against something as big as Ramarak, yeah, no, that tail is doing nothing to her. The same for the legs. These legs weren't very strong and being used for offense, only for gripping onto things. The bite was the main weapon Ramarak should be concerned about. This bite was strong enough to break the skin of Kong and majorly hurt him. I think the edge here goes to Ramarak. Being heavier while also having a strong tail and limbs gives her the edge. Ramarak shows many features of high IQ, but that is majorly affected by something called polyphagia, which is a term used for excessive hunger that is not satisfied by eating, even after a full meal, which sometimes causes skull crawlers to make rash decisions, which ultimately leads to their deaths. But don't be fooled, Ramarak is still extremely smart. Here she sees that Earl Cole is just standing there. She realizes that since he's standing so still, he must be waiting to do something that could harm perhaps that grenade in his hand. She whacks Cole with her thagomizer, knocking him into the cliffside, killing him. Another example is when Kong gets stuck. She didn't kill him instantly. It's almost like she was mocking him. But she did get distracted, which led Kong to becoming free from the chains. One more example is when Ramarak knew that Kong was holding a person he cared for in his hand. and she purposely went for that hand, as seen here, which ultimately led to her death. That was unexpected, hey Ramarak? Oh yeah, one more scary thing. According to the Kong Skull Island novel, they can mimic voices to lure and prey. Yeah, no, that's Ramarak also gets battle IQ, as she was one of the ones who killed Kong's parents. Editing Goji here. Actually, I don't think we know if Ramarak did kill his parents, so yeah. I just want to say that. Continue the video. And most likely has a lot more experience against any other enemy. Ramarak may be smart, but let's see how she does against this fella. They were seen flanking out Kong. This chameleon saw that someone was up at the cliff, and they went for it, distracting Kong, which caused another to take its chances to attack Kong while he was distracted. They're also smart enough to travel in packs, to become more successful in hunting, which makes me wonder, why didn't they just tag team Kong? Whatever, main point is that the pack hunting is usually more successful than solo hunting, and they are also seen observing Kong in the island girl. They can also camouflage. Here we're seeing them camouflage with the ground. Also with Kong's fur. Oftentimes you see reptiles getting outsmarted by mammals, like in GBK when Kong threw his axe to distract Godzilla. But here we see that these things outsmarted Kong and could have killed him if they tried hard enough. We don't have enough evidence for battle IQ, but I assume it's just as good as Ramarak's because they have experience fighting things in their size, like Skur Buffalo and possibly other skull crawlers. Even with all of the stats that the Killer Chameleon has, I still think the edge here goes to Ramarak, but barely. Being able to mimic voices and has the battle experience she needs, though this could be changed if we knew more about the Killer Chameleon. Really, do I even need to explain this? Look at this. Yeah, the Killer Chameleon wins all of these, no difficulty. Ramarak may be built like a toothpick, but she's extremely durable. Being able to tank a flare gun to the eye, having a boulder smashed over her head, tanking machine gun bullets, taking multiple beatings from Kong, and even survived having her throat slit, and acted like it was a normal Tuesday afternoon. Say what you want about her, but surviving being slit in the throat is extreme. That skull over her head would also provide some more protection. Not to mention that the only way Kong could and did kill her was literally disemboweling her. However, one skullcrawler did get its leg slashed by a katana, but we won't count it due to this specific one not being Ramarak. The Killer Chameleon was also seen to be very durable, being able to take multiple hits from Kong, as well as being able to handle being squished by Kong in the cliff wall. Not to mention that one got impaled through the chest, while also being dropped from an incredibly high altitude. Not even Godzilla himself could handle that. I think this one is a tie, just because both have survived almost impossible hits. Here we have abilities. Please bear with me here, this might be a little bit. For Ramarak, we have prehensile tail, prehensile tongue, claws, sharp backwards facing teeth, high IQ and battle IQ, poisonous ivory barb at the tip of the tail, mimicry, durability, speed, stamina, and agility, strong legs, jaws, and tail, and are amphibious. The Killer Chameleon, we have a long, super fast tongue, like one of a real chameleon but supersized, claws, sharp teeth, powerful by force, high IQ, speed, stamina, and agility, durability, camouflage, and pack hunting. Yeah, Ramarak wins this one with ease. Finally, we have weaknesses. Ramarak, being a skullcrawler, has polyphagia, which, like I said earlier, is basically a constant hunger. Because of this, it majorly takes an effect on the IQ of Ramarak, just because it can make her make rash decisions, possibly causing her to lose this fight. Right here we see a skullcrawler who, while not being Ramarak, shows that this constant hunger can majorly affect them. Instead of paying attention to the giant mechanized giant behind it, it instantly goes for the humans, which would be the size of a Tic Tac for it, which ultimately led to its death. Lack of armor as well. While I did give a tie for durability, one issue with Ramarak is the lack of armor, or a lot of fat, which may cause her to be majorly damaged or killed by the bites of the Killer Chameleon. The Killer Chameleon also shows some weakness. However, not a lot, just because of the minimal amount of screen time it got in the show. The weight of this fella is low, we'll just say that. Kong here is only a little bit bigger than his movie counterpart. And this chameleon got knocked back like somebody used a Knockback 2 sword. They also got punched back very easily. They can get crushed really easy. Unfortunately, just because of the amount of time as the killer chameleon got pushed back a lot, Ramarak gets the point. Both are overall extremely powerful creatures, but there can only be one reptilian ruler of Skull Island. Ramarak gets the edge in strength, IQ, battle IQ, abilities, and less weakness. Killer Chameleon gets the edge in speed, stamina, and agility, with them both having equal durability. When we look at this fight, the clear winner was Ramarak with a 6-5. The main reason would be IQ, strength, and durability. While speed, stamina, and agility are just as, if not more important, it's not going to do anything when you're facing something that's bigger, smarter, and stronger, while you're running around them slapping them like a wet noodle. Also, the lack of weight in the Killer Chameleon kind of screws it over as well, because if Ramarak decides that she will pin the Killer Chameleon down like she did Kong, it's all over. Of course, however, results can change. It's all because of the Killer Chameleon's ability to hunt in packs and camouflage. If there were, say, 3 Killer Chameleons like we see in the show, and they were smart enough to ambush Ramarak from all angles, it could be all over for her. One more thing as well, the size we see in the TV show might not be its full potential. In fact, the thing could possibly reach sizes similar to Number 10, who was way larger than Ramarak, or possibly even bigger than Number 10, but we just don't know yet. But hey, maybe I missed some things. Did I miss something on Ramarak or the Killer Chameleons? Tell me in the comments below. This was Goji Center. Have a great one.